जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी।
गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन।
यमुना तीरा वनचारी।
यमुना तीरा वनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे।
जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा।
जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ।
जय गौरानीता जय गौरानीता, गौरानीता जय गौरानीता।
जय गौरनीताय जय गौरनीताय जय गौरनीताय जय गौरनीताय।
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद।
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद।
जय जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद गुरुदेव श्रीपाद।
जय जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद गुरुदेव श्रीपाद।
जय गुरु महाराज श्री श्रीपाद की जय, जगत गुरु श्री
जय
प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री श्री
जय
गौर निताय की जय, लक्ष्मण नरसिंहदेव
जय
भगवान की जय,
जय
जगन्नाथ बलदेव शुद्ध महारानी की जय,
जय
जय श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय। ओम
जय।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय,
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय,
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं,
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं,
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरये।
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Hiranyakasipu, King of the Demons. Text number 10. All of you please repeat. Tavadyata bhuvam yuyam
तावद्यात भुवं यूयं
brahmakshatra sameditam
ब्रह्मक्षत्र समेधिताम्
sudayadvam tapoyagna
सूदयध्वं तपो यज्ञस्
swadhyaya vratadanina.
स्वाध्याय व्रतदानिन।
Translation. While I am engaged in the business of killing Lord Vishnu, go down to the planet Earth, which is flourishing due to Brahmanical culture and a Kshatriya government. These people engage in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, regulative vows, and charity. Destroy all the people thus engaged. Please repeat. While I am engaged
While I am engaged
in the business of killing Lord Vishnu,
in the business of killing Lord Vishnu,
go down to the planet Earth,
go down to the planet Earth,
which is flourishing
which is flourishing
due to Brahmanical culture
due to Brahmanical culture
and a Kshatriya government.
and a Kshatriya government.
These people engage
These people engage
in austerity,
in austerity,
sacrifice,
sacrifice,
Vedic study,
Vedic study,
regulative vows,
regulative vows,
and charity.
and charity.
Destroy all the people thus engaged.
Destroy all the people thus engaged.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Hiranyakasipu's main purpose was to disturb the demigods. He planned first to kill Lord Vishnu, so that with Lord Vishnu's death, the demigods would automatically weaken and die. Another of his plans was to disturb the residents of the planet Earth. The peace and prosperity of the residents of Earth and all the other planets were maintained by the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasya. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. On all the planets, there are different types of residents, but the Lord recommends, referring especially to the planet Earth, which is inhabited by human beings, that society be divided into four varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaisya, and Sudra. Before the advent of Lord Krishna on this earth, it is understood that the earth was managed by the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The duty of the Brahmanas is to cultivate sama, peacefulness, dhamma, self-control, titiksha, tolerance, satyam, truthfulness, saucham, cleanliness, and arjavam, simplicity. And then to advise a Kshatriya, and then to advise Kshatriya kings how to rule the country or planet. Following the instructions of Brahmanas, the Kshatriya should engage the populace in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, and adherence to the rules and regulations established by Vedic principles. They should also arrange for charity to be given to the Brahmanas, sannyasis, and temples. This is the godly arrangement of Brahmanical culture. People are inclined to offer yajna because unless sacrifice are offered, there will be insufficient rain. Yagnad bhavati parjanyaha, which will hamper agricultural activities. Parjanyad anna sambhavaha. By introducing Brahmanical culture, therefore, a Kshatriya government should engage people in performing yajna, studying the Vedas, and giving charity. As people will receive their necessities of life very easily, and there will be no disturbances in society. In this regard, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 3:12, Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva dasyante yajna bhavita tair dattan apradayabhyo yo bhumte sthena evasa. In charge of various necessities of life, the demigods being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, supply all necessities to man. But he who enjoys these gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. The demigods are authorized supplying agents who act on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied by the performance of prescribed yajnas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yajnas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yajnas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to different qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature. And before the goddess, the sacrifice of an animal is recommended. But for those in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. Ultimately, all yajnas are meant for gradual promotion to the transcendental position. For ordinary men, at least 5 yajnas, known as Pancha Mahayajna, are necessary. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that human society requires are supplied by the demigod, agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Consider, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, and sugar for persons in the mode of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians such as meats, none of which can be manufactured by men. Then again, take for example, heat, light, water, air, which are also necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, or breeze, without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of Lord with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. This aim of life is attained by performance of yajnas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy, for they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification. Nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yajnas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yajna, namely Sankirtan yajna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accept the principles of Krishna consciousness. Hiranyakasipu planned to kill all the inhabitants of earth so that yajna would stop and the demigods being disturbed would die automatically when Lord Vishnu, the Yagneshwara, was killed. These were the demoniac plans of Hiranyakashipu, who was expert in such activities. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Guru Maharaj Srila Shripad ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Srila Prabhupada has given extensive purport. So pretty much everything is covered. So there is nothing more to be added. But we can repeat the same thing because we have a little time. So first, the plan of killing Lord Vishnu. So this is a little funny and foolish. That on one hand, Hiranyakashipu is acknowledging Lord Vishnu as supreme being, and at the same time, he's thinking he can kill. So this is gross foolishness. It's very, very gross. Such an evident thing. Nobody can kill Lord Vishnu. But how such foolishness has been allowed? Because his intelligence has been stolen by Maya. Maya paharuta gnana. So, and what is this Maya? Maya is forgetfulness of one's relationship with Lord Vishnu, or anything that entertains us to keep us engaged in body and mind, so that we have hardly time to remember Lord Vishnu. So, the demons, they are completely Maya paharuta gnana. The definition of demons, those who do not worship Krishna, asurimbhavam ashritaha. So those who have taken asura mentality, they don't worship Lord Vishnu. They don't obey the Supreme Person because their intelligence has been stolen by Maya. So what is the Maya that keeps us busy in this world? Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim, Kavitam. These are the things that keeps us busy. So one who is busy with these things, he will not be able to remember Lord Vishnu. And in due course of time, one develops reluctance or aversion because one does not feel the need. When everything is all right, going on well, one doesn't feel the need to worship, or feels the worship itself is a disturbance in one's entertainment. So therefore they resort to thoughts like There is no other purpose than to enjoy. So this is Asuram Bhava. And how it is coming, this foolishness is coming out of anger. Feeling out of anger. He is angry with the demigods that because of the demigods, Lord Vishnu came and killed my brother Hiranyaksha. It is because of the demigods. So therefore, sometimes he is angry with the Vishnu, sometimes he is angry with the demigods. So he is expressing both before he has expressed anger on Lord Vishnu, being partial to the demigods. So this is another demonic nature. That to think Vishnu is partial. Instead of obeying, one thinks that Vishnu, Supreme, as the partial. This is the nature of the demons. So the demons, they never accept their mistake. The demons, they never introspect themselves because their anger is so much overwhelming that they don't see their faults. And if there is fault or not, one has to obey. Is another duty. So the demons, they don't obey. Their anger keeps on increasing. So because of too much self-obsession, too much self-thinking. So therefore, this anger causes, whoever is the cause, they start becoming angry. So they get angry on the person who is hurting. They get angry on the person who is behind, or the person who is supporting, if somebody is supporting, or somebody who is in the capacity to stop and not stopping, they get angry. Or they get unnecessarily angry also on people who have no connection with that. Or get angry with the same person who is trying to help. So this is the anger. Anger destroys all intelligence. And the anger is there, it destroys all intelligence. Like here, the intelligence of Hiranyakashipu is very grossly disturbed. Otherwise, how come he came to the conclusion that he can kill Vishnu? And also devotee, killing devotee, harming devotee. So these two are very foolish. To think one can harm Vishnu and unharm the devotees, the demigods. So in this way, very, very gross foolishness to think that one can kill Vishnu. And those who are protected by Vishnu, the devotees, the demigods. The demigods are the authority, higher authorities of universal level. So we are like their subjects of the demigods. So, but one who is very much attached in his Maya, 4 types of Maya. So they get angry. We also see people get sometimes angry on God because why does this thing has happened to me? They get very angry with God, as if God is responsible. So sometimes when somebody is in the higher position, it is sometimes possible that people get angry unnecessarily also. So one has to be very vigilant not to get angry oneself. So that if those who are on the higher level, they get angry, then whole thing will be disturbed. So another important thing here is that planet Earth is telling to go to planet Earth and disturb all the sacrifices. So that is the glory of planet Earth, where the people are naturally inclined and the atmosphere is conducive for performing sacrifices to Lord Vishnu. So therefore, the planet where we are living, our birth here, it is very, very special. We should not forget it. Human life is very, very special. That too on the planet Earth. That too in Bharatavarsha. We should not underestimate the fortune that we got. So if we forget this fortune, then we will run after another fortunes, seemingly apparent fortunes that we see. The greatest fortune we received is the human form of life in this planet Earth, and especially in India, Bharatbhumi, where these are practiced. They will be practiced until the end of Kali Yuga. Number will be changing, but this culture will continue until the end of Kali Yuga. Brahmanical culture. So therefore, we should try to utilize the fortune that we received and don't become misers. Kripana phala hetava. So, Kripana means one who wastes his human form of life by running after the fruits. So also the riches, we received the richness of human form of life in this Bharat Bhumi, and we are not utilizing it. We are utilizing for the same purpose for the cats and dogs, fighting like cats and dogs, or grabbing uh, phala, fruits from somebody else, or cheating somebody else. So if human society or if human beings, including all of us, if we run after these things, then we are Kripana, not a Brahmana. Human life is given to cultivate transcendental knowledge, not to get stuck. Just like there are 4 varnas, there are also 4 ashrams. Every varna should supposed to go through these 4 ashrams. That is human life. So here Srila Prabhupada mentions, but if we enjoy the facilities provided by the demigods, but don't perform our duty in varna and ashrama and our sacrifices to Lord Vishnu, then stena evaha, stena evasa. So we are no better than thief. We have to perform the duties of 4 varnas and 4 ashrams. So whatever varna we are in, we have to perform those duties. And we should also perform our duties in each of the ashram to proceed to next ashram. So 25% roughly of the lifespan we should spend. This is our duty. So if we only enjoy the facilities but not perform our duty, then we are no more than a thief. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that a society of thieves can never be happy. It's not possible. Because thieves, they not only steal from others, they also steal among themselves. So therefore, any society of thieves will not be happy. So therefore, if we destroy the Brahmanical culture, then the whole society will be a society of thieves. And there will be chaos and there will be no sacrifices. There is no possibility of any sacrifices, culture taught to new generations. And so there will be no Brahmanical culture, and the demigods, they won't get any offerings. So therefore, when you stop somebody offering something to somebody, he will get very disturbed. So Hiranyakashipu wanting to disturb the demigods by stopping these sacrifices to demigods. So that is the idea, to disturb and then enjoy. These are demoniac nature, mode of ignorance, tamoguna, and also demoniac. Demoniac people, they want to disturb others and then be happy. Especially those who are on their way for fulfilling their purpose, ambitions, enjoyment. So therefore, one has to be very careful to teach such things, such teachings related to sacrifice, teaching related to the duties of varnas and ashramas. Because as soon as there is some little disturbance, one become inimical. So this is but still this science has to be taught. So this is the greatest, is like sword, walking on the sword. One who is attached, he will get angry if we advise something which is not in his or her benefit, what he thinks, the material benefit. So na buddhivedam janayet, one should not create the differences. But at the same time, one cannot also sit idle. That is a Brahmanical culture, is teaching. So this is a very walking on the sword edge. Those who are Brahmanical, those who are Brahmanas, playing the part of Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas, they have these qualities, sama, peacefulness. So first of all, they should be peaceful. So in order to be peaceful, one has to be detached. Brahmanas, they remain peaceful because they are detached. Because they are detached, even if somebody try to disturb by trying to take away whatever one thinks one has, but Brahmanas hardly has anything. So one will not be disturbed. Whatever is there is by the will of the Lord. Whatever is not there is also by the will of the Lord. So therefore they won't be disturbed. Self-control, Dhamma. So Dhamma means self-control, means not to be tempted by temptations that are against the sanctions of the scripture. Self-control. So one who is self-control, he can be peaceful. So self-control and peaceful, they go together. Similarly, tolerance, titiksha, tolerance. Even if there is an aggression, one should tolerate. So that is a Brahmanical culture. Because if Brahmanas revolt, then Kshatriyas, they will very much always ready to revolt already. So therefore, there will be big chaos in the society. Satyam, truthfulness. So they always engage in speaking about the supreme absolute truth, Krishna. So this is the Satyam. Truth should be spoken, also should be spoken pleasantly. But however pleasant we may speak, when one is attached, it is bound to evoke anger. It is for sure. But still, one should be able to take that in order to be a Brahmana. Then Saucham, cleanliness. We all know this Saucham. Activities and maintain physical. And then Arjavam, simplicity. Not pose that one is great, not pose that one is very learned, not pose that one is powerful, or not have too much luxuries, Only whatever is required to maintain body and soul should be kept. Others, one should not. Ajiva, simplicity. And then advise Kshatriyas on administration. This is a Brahmanical culture. Brahmanas, they have to maintain their Brahmanical qualities. At the same time, they have to advise Kshatriyas. So advising Kshatriyas is a little bit very tricky. So, but for the benefit of the society, the Brahmanas should advise Kshatriyas. We have Kshatriyas, mostly they are in passion. So there are also side effects of passion. Too much engrossment in enjoyment and hankering for honor. So therefore, Brahmanical culture means to take advice from the Brahmanas. Because one who is in Kshatriya position, he will have passion. So therefore, he should have a one who is peaceful, free from such things. Who can advise, see things, see one's faults and advise, rectify. So it is a duty of the Kshatriyas to seek advice and be obedient to Brahmanas. And what is their duty? To make sure that people do the yajnas and with scripture study and adhere to the rules and regulations of the scriptures and give charity to Brahmana and sannyasis and temples. So this is the Kshatriyas. They have to make sure that yajnas are performed, because otherwise there will be no grains in the kingdom. So, but they should seek advice from Brahmanas. So even if a Brahmana becomes a administrator, he should have another Brahmana who can see when one is engaged in administration to advise. So one should have one close Brahmana who can advise. So this is what Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish, a society of Brahmanas. Right? Or P.V. Sharma many times recollects when he met in London, Srila Prabhupada, what is your mission? So Srila Prabhupada said, I want to create a society of Brahmanas. So, so society of Brahmanas means this Sama, Dama, Titikshava, Satyam, Saucham, Arjavam. So advising to Kshatriyas and also Kshatriyas accepting the advice from the Brahmanas. So these are very important. So in our administration, sometimes it is very passionate, but we should accept guidance from the Brahmanas. So otherwise there will be chaos. Because Kshatriyas think, I am working hard, what is the necessity? I am intelligent enough. Why to listen to somebody? So similarly, Brahmanas, if they don't act on the Brahmanical level, then they will also be polluted. So therefore there will be chaos in the society. So one should be, these two things should be maintained. So the yajnas, which the Kshatriyas, they have to take care, they are sacrificed to Lord Vishnu. And if some people are not inclined, at least to demigods or to Kali, if there are meat eaters. Ordinary men, they are supposed to do 5 yagnas, Pancha Mahayagna they call, especially householders. Everybody should do this. Brahma Yagna, study of scriptures. Pitru Yagna, ancestors. Manusha Yagna, feeding the needy or helping those who are in need. And Bhuta Yagna, feeding cows, ants, birds. So one should do all these yagnas, and demigods will supply the necessities. So if one doesn't do these yagnas, one will be called a thief. So if, as Srila Prabhupada said, a society of thieves cannot be happy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has introduced Sankirtana Yagna. By doing this Sankirtana Yagna in this Kali Yuga, people can get purified. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are any questions, kindly come forward.
Hare Krishna Maharaji. Thank you for your nice class. Yeah, if anyone is having any question regarding today's class, they can raise their hand and ask His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Rajpat Maharaji. Hare Krishna Govind Maharaji, please.
Oh, so Balramji is also asking questions. So I came first. Okay. But many wonderful points you brought out. Could you little elaboration on the Pancha Yagnas and their necessity? What is it? What causes the necessity of this Pancha Yagnas? And then ultimately in Kali Yuga, people finding very difficult to perform in one yagna. The 5 yagna would be too much. So Mahaprabhu's mercy to Sankirtan, this one question. And second, when you mentioned that everybody has to go through 4 ashrama, you meant to say everybody has to go to 4th ashrama? Did I hear properly, or some confusion was there? So please clarify.
Yes, everybody should progress towards the 4th ashrama. What I meant to say was that one should not remain in brahmachari ashram. Some people get stuck in the brahmachari ashram only. Some people get stuck in grihastha ashram. So sannyas ashram is not taken very seriously. So that is also important, to free oneself from all material obligations and all material connections in the last 25% of one's life. That is minimum if one is serious to go back to Godhead. So brahmacharis, they should also think about becoming sannyasis, and it is not necessary to enter into grihastha ashram. But those who have entered into grihastha ashram, they should also plan to enter into other 2 ashrams. So that's what I meant. And other Pancha Mahayagnas, so those who are in grihastha ashram, they should perform these 5 yagnas, because grihastha ashram is, they are resourceful. So the resources are provided by the demigods. It appears like I have earned it, but our so-called earning is nothing but just collecting. So they are provided by the demigods. So therefore, we must do sacrifice. The purpose of the sacrifice is purification. One gets transcendental knowledge. So by performing sacrifice, yajna, one gets transcendental knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his birth and activities are completely transcendental. So by engaging in his seva, one can also become transcendental. So this is called transcendental knowledge. So by engaging in these sacrifices, one is gradually elevated to transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge means Krishna and his devotee. This is transcendental knowledge. Complete surrender and dedication to Krishna and his devotee. This is transcendental knowledge. This is the idea. So therefore, by performing these yajnas, they will, towards the end of the Grahastha ashram, one should be fully convinced and equipped and done with his engagements, occupations, and ready to take to transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is action. So action is to Krishna and his servant. So that to help Sankirtana Yajna Sankirtana Praya Yajante Sumedasha. So this worship in Kali Yuga, this Deva Yajna in Kali Yuga can be done through Sankirtana. So those who have good brain substance in Kali Yuga, they don't worship demigods, they don't take meditation, other things, or fire yajna. What they do Sankirtana yajna. They participate in the Sankirtana yajna. They do Sankirtana yajna. They support Sankirtana yajna. So, but the idea is by doing such yajna, the result is one gets transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge means one is convinced to give up everything that binds one within this matter. The material attachments, the material relationships. One understands the true nature of them and becomes detached mentally, physically. So transcendental knowledge means to fully detach from matter and attach to Krishna and his devotee, mentally, physically. That actually is the true purpose of yajna. In Kali Yuga, Sankirtana yajna is a direct, most effective method. Kalau tad Hari Kirtana. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please add.
What can I add? I wanted to know.
Hare Krishna.
Only one idea, one injection in the Vedas that, to make people just like not thieves, some acknowledgement of mercy received from the demigods who are representatives of Krishna. And especially this yajnas, they are connected to the activities like Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there is no action which is free from the tinge of sin, correct? कुछ न कुछ दोष सभी कर्म में है. So however nicely people perform many things, like they have to produce grain remnants for sacrifices. So even for cooking purposes, so many activities are involved. Householders, especially householders of following the 5 objects. There are Panchasuna. There's a word Panchasuna. Panchasuna means 5 actions which involve killing inevitably. Like in cooking, fire is burned. So the mortar and the pestle, correct? The cooking fire means the grinding instrument, the mortar and the pestle, the water pot, and the brooming. झाड़ू मारते हैं ना, चक्की पीसते हैं, झाड़ू मारते हैं, पानी लाते हैं, कुकिंग में फायर जलाते हैं, और so these are the 5 things which involves inevitably killing insects and many. So Suna means literally means the place where animals are slaughtered. So inevitably in these actions, burning fire and grinding and कूटते हैं ना, कूटना, पीसना, पानी लाना, fire burning. So inevitably the insects and the jivas are sacrificed. So these, so inflicting violence upon living entities, correct? So because of this only that householders do not attain the heavenly planet. So these Panchasunas, and these are, they don't have much spirituality related, but as you said that without purification, spirituality would not come in the vision. But even from worldly point of view, householders in Vedic culture, they very much target the heavenly planets. So if they do so much violence, then their goal of attaining heavenly planets will be baffled. And that's why those who are then this Panch Mahayagnas which you described very wonderfully, education and all this thing. So they take care of the sins, and the demigods become satisfied in their ambition to attain the heaven. So those who are very inclined to religiosity, they take a lot of this pride in performing all these sacrifices, until they come to the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that although you are used to perform many sacrifices, but you have missed out on the real one. And so even performing 5 sacrifices, they are not sufficient enough to ultimately help them to attain the perfection of human potential without Sankirtan. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Maharaji. Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Balramji is having a question. Yes, Balramji.
Hare Krishna, Balram Prabhuji. We just had Balram.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dhanno Pranam. Please, let me. Yeah, I have 2 questions. One question is similar to as what Govind Maharaj asked. So this Pancha Yajnas that you described, those come under Karma Kanda. So that means a lot of karmas are performed there. And those are also a part of life, because everybody is doing karma. Without karma, no one can sustain. So, by living these 5 karmas, if we come to Sankirtan Yajna only, if we leave out all these 5 yajnas and come to Sankirtan Yajna, all these, let's say, needs can be fulfilled. So, if everybody comes to this yajna, so then it will be a difficult situation. So that is one question. Maybe.
Yeah, let us
I'll
deal with
ask
one question
later.
and then we'll go to the second, because we may lose the intensity or so yeah, these 5 yajnas, they are kind of obligations, duties. They are not just advice. They are not advisories to human society. They are duties to human society, right? Like in our constitution, we have rights and responsibilities, right? Not advisories. Advisories, there may be some advices, but these 5 yajnas, they are not advisories. They are responsibilities. So one who claims rights to enjoy must fulfill the responsibilities of his Pancha Yajnas. Right? So these 5 yajnas are responsibility. So just by doing Sankirtana Yajna, one will not become free from these other yajnas. unless one fully takes shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, leaving all his material connections. Right? We have this sloka that one doesn't have any responsibility to demigods or to the forefathers or to other living entities, to anybody, if one takes complete shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, and completely surrenders, and completely gives up. But if one is in the Grihastha ashram, where one is not fully oriented his mind and body in the service of the Lord, they still have these obligations to perform. So Deva Yajna, they will be worshipping Lord Vishnu at home in the deity. And they will be feeding the people also Krishna Prasad. They will be feeding also the other birds, animals. So these 5 yajnas the obligations to perform these yajnas doesn't completely go away until one becomes completely free from the material occupations. So Pitra Yajna, offering obeisances to the ancestors. So these all exist. These responsibilities are there. So entering Grihastha ashram means to perform these, to fulfill these responsibilities also, not only enjoy the facilities of family life. There are also responsibilities to do these 5 yajnas and to give up the ashram itself at right time. And it is not too late. So second question,
Yes,
Balaram
Maharaj.
Prabhu.
And so the second question is, as you said, Prabhupada and Sripad Maharaj, they wanted to make a Brahminical society. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the 4 varnas that we have, those are basically because of this guna and karma. So let's say if we consider a small child is born, automatically because of his past karma and his guna, his varna is decided. So, and Krishna also says, whatever varna or guna one is in, they should perform the duties according to their suitability, guna and karma. So in this case, how it is possible to make this Brahminical society?
Brahmanical society means not only Brahmanas. Here, destroy the Brahmanical culture on that planet. It is not just the Brahmanas. Brahmanical culture doesn't mean only the Brahmanas. Brahmanical culture means Brahmanas, they maintain their Brahmanical qualities and they advise the Kshatriyas so that Kshatriyas maintain their qualities. And then the Kshatriyas make sure Vaisyas and Sudras, they maintain their qualities. This is Brahmanical culture. But for this Brahmanical culture to exist, Brahmanas should exist. That Srila Prabhupada wanted to create. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to create a society of Brahmanas. It doesn't mean that there won't be others. But a society where it is run by the Brahmanas, not by the passionate and ambitious Kshatriyas who put aside Brahmanas by vote. So Brahmanical culture means society that is run by the Brahmanas through Kshatriyas. Is that clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Maharaji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Madhav Prabhuji is having a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
So I,
Neela Madhavaya Namaha. Yes. Well, yeah. I am praying that I will be able to answer your question.
yeah, it's very easy question only. Not difficult. My question, Maharaj, see, I have a question on aspect of angry. So when I get angry on others, keeping faith on Lord, we can either forgive or ignore. That's not big problem. Uh, Keeping faith in Lord, everything others we can easily go ahead. But when it comes to self angry, like because of our past, when we remember our past activities in like abominable and unfavorable acts we performed, that actually doesn't. It actually it hangs our entire system. Like
Yeah, past, you should not remember too much. Past is only required to correct us, rectify us. So if you rectify yourself, past has no effect. Right? Sadhuryeva samantavyaha. You will be considered saintly, sadhu, who has never done that mistake, provided if you rectify yourself. So if you get angry on yourself, show your anger on rectifying your faults. So that is a positive thing. But don't remember too much past. You become mental and depressing. So we have to look into future and past. We don't need to remember the past. Unpleasant, sinful things, we should forget whatever it is. We don't need to so much become so much angry, because Krishna is not thinking so much. Guru is not thinking so much. Why are you thinking so much about your past? Who has asked you to become angry looking at your past? So when Guru and Krishna are not looking, why are you so much obsessed with your past? Correct yourself and try, make sincere attempt to correct. So if anything, past can help is only to not repeat the mistake that we have done in the past, not to become frustrated, angry, or depressed. The greatest hope is that Krishna and Guru, they accept us, whatever condition we are, how much fallen we are. In fact, the more one is fallen, the more one can get close to Krishna by taking shelter and by forgetting the past, by rectifying. So therefore, Krishna is called Dina Bandhu, Dinanad, Dinanukampana. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namastute. So when you feel miserable, pray to Krishna. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate. So Krishna is relative, bandhu, friend of those who are dina, those who are miserable. So you pray to Krishna that I heard you are bandhu of the fallen. So I am very fallen. Please please accept me at your lotus feet. So you make a nice prayer like that. Then you feel immediately nourished by Krishna's kindness. And same with Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. So they are very, very kind to the fallen. So we should turn our disadvantages into advantages. So don't allow that to destroy you, but rather use that to get close to Guru and Krishna, because they are very kind to the fallen. So if one takes the humble attitude that I am fallen, then that attracts Krishna. So instead of becoming angry, you should become humble. Isn't it? Like Kunti Maharani. Tvam Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidhanardam Katam Pashyamehi Striyaha. So being woman is not a fallen state, sinful thing to be a woman. But being woman is little considered not having many facilities that males have. So therefore, she is not regretting being woman. Rather, she is using her womanhood to attract Krishna attention by being humble. That Krishna, I am a woman, how can I understand you? So please be kind. So this is how we should become humble. And when one become humble with that whatever disadvantage we have, then that becomes a very nice, effective prayer to Krishna. That moves Krishna. So don't be angry on yourself. Don't be depressed. Don't be frustrated. It is normal to be fallen. But it is extraordinary to take shelter under Krishna, Guru and Krishna. So take shelter at Guru and Krishna. So yeah, that's a very disadvantage will become advantages. But if you forget our fallen condition and try to be smart, try to be disobedient, try to be offensive, try to be retaliating, then that is when you have to become worried. Otherwise, to recognize that I am faulty is the greatest benefit, because when you truly feel faulty, when you pray to Guru and Krishna that time, that is most effective. They immediately take us and keep at their lotus feet. So therefore, it's easy to get close to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. We may conclude for the day.
जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु
जय।
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज
जय।
श्रील शुकपाद की जय। निताय
जय।
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
Hare
बोल।
Hare Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj ki jai. Thank you all for joining. See you all in tomorrow's class at 7:30.